I have two brothers. The oldest brother, 22 years older than I. So he's a 62. And second, I have a second brother and I have two sisters older than I. So I'm the youngest one.
So how was the transition coming from Moldova or coming from Russia or former Soviet Union to America? I know not being able to speak a language in the middle of a bunch of people is difficult. So how was that transition?
Well, it was a good transition. Excited. When I came to America, the first thing I was surprised when I got up in the morning. I thought every house has a Dollar Tree, so you don't need to work. You just go and pick up dollars, go to the grocery store next day. There will be again dollars. But that was my first discouragement. So when I came in, I found out that there is no Dollar Tree and you have to work. And first 5 years of my life here in America was way worse than I live in my previous place. That's one thing that kind of shocked me. Second, when I came here, I thought the old people who has a earring, they're homosexuals. And I remember me and my brother, we walk in the street and my brother says, you know what, look how many homosexuals around you. I thought I got into the Sodom and Gomorrah, not in America. You know, that was my understanding. I never saw any homosexuals in my country. The first time I saw homosexuals is here. So therefore it was like, I thought everybody who has a earring, they are homosexual. So that was another thing that I was kind of shocked.
Good question. What called you to ministry?
Well, my wife many times telling me, you know, if I would know that you're going to be pastor, I wouldn't marry you. So we didn't know that we're going to be a pastors. I think one of the things that God told me that I always had desire to serve God. Always. It was always in my heart. And but I don't know how can I explain what exactly told me, but it was kind of, the doors were open and I felt that I needed to be stepped in, and that's how actually my ministry was established. So I saw the need and tried to help, and that's how I got in.
So what was your biggest accomplishment so far?
Well, I'm 40. I'm 40 tomorrow, actually. So I'm 40 tomorrow. That's one of the biggest accomplishment. Another thing, one of the accomplishment that I think I have, when I came to US, I went to the Bible school. 3 years I went Bible school, and purposely I did not carry English Bible because I thought that, you know, American has best teachers, preachers. Who am I that I will be serving American people? So I knew I will be a pastor for the Russian. So I carry a Russian Bible, and God spoke to me one day that I have to prepare myself for English-speaking congregation. So a year before actually I became pastor of English congregation, I was preaching at Russian church, English sermon once a month. And many times I was cut myself in the middle of the sermon trying to explain something in English, and my interpreter has hard time understand what I'm saying. And I was thinking, what I'm doing, you know, why am I doing what I do? But that was one of the things. I lived in America 14 years, but I was not with Americans. I ate Russian food, I hang out with the Russian people, I watch Russian movie. Only last 6 years, I know and start understand more and more American culture and American people. I think that's one of the accomplishments that I start understand more American, and I enjoy serving American people because for me this is my people, that's my country, and that's what we have to do.
Amen.
That's a great story. It's interesting that you answered that question. I was going to bring that up. It's one of my favorite things that when I think about you, I think that this is a man who listens to God's voice. But no one in their right mind would preach in a language they have difficult time for nothing, you know, but only by the call of God. So praise God for that. What is your next question? What is your biggest regret? Because everyone has something.
Well, one of the greatest, I think, biggest regret I have, if I would I think God has His own timing, but I would be maybe better prepared to be, to be who I am today. You know, I would be better, maybe put more emphasis to be a better pastor. You know, work on my qualification to be able to serve better, and that's one of the regrets that I started kind of late. Another regret that I have that I started serving God when I was 21 or 22, around 21, 22. That's when I started really kind of serve God. Before, I wasn't serving God, so that was my another regret. And the third regret that I have, probably, when I start, you know, when I approached the pastoral duty, I did not understand much how we should operate as a pastors, and many things got open to me within this year. So I wish to know this before I would become a pastor.
So what do you like most about working with people?
I enjoy working with faithful people. If you see the people who prepared this event, I know that they put their heart, you know, this family gather. I know one thing, listen carefully, one thing, you know, Bible said that Jesus is coming. One thing you have to remember, you know, there is a lot of signs and wonders will take in place, you know, and people saying that Jesus is coming soon. But one thing you have to know, just, I'm not adding to the Bible, but one thing, if Canon Kill is here on earth, so second coming of Jesus Christ is not taking place yet. So because they're very faithful people, and I know God will take them first. Amen. Well, what was the question again?
Let's clarify. The question was, what do you like most about working with people?
Well, and what I like about, you know, one of the things that I really value in people, that's faithfulness. If I will get like 20 people, 20, 30 people, faithful, like Ken, Kelly, Lila, Rima, Natalia, and the other like people who's here, Bruno, you know, I would probably, we will turn this, you know, LA upside down.
Yes.
If people like these people will be more in our church, who will just put everything aside and will be willing to accomplish, you know, God's task and God's purposes. And one of the delightful thing one of the valuable thing for me, that's when people are faithful. Faithfulness, that's the greatest quality, and I encourage everybody to develop that quality.
Yes. Amen. So that leads us to our next question, which is the opposite, right? But what do you like least about working with people?
These questions.
That's a good question. What I like the least, I think one of the, you know, I can handle it when people complain. I can handle when people criticize. One thing what I think I don't like when people who you trust, they are unworthy. I mean, they are untrustworthy.
Yes.
They're not trustworthy. Bible says if you put your trust on untrustworthy person, it's like a broken teeth. It's nothing, just a pain. And I think that's the same thing with me. You know, when people not faithful and you put trust on them and they're not they're not faithful, then it just brings pain. I think that's one of the qualities that I really, you know, not enjoy to see in people's life.
All right, that's awesome. Is your life how you envisioned it, or is it even greater?
Well, I think, you know, God gave me, if I will compare with the previous, years, God blessed me abundantly more than I anticipated and expected in all areas. In the area of my family, and my ministry, my, you know, finances, all the area I see God blesses me, and God changed my mind. I always kind of try to hold whatever God gave it to me, and thinking, well, if I will not hold this, you know, I might not get anymore. But now my mind changed. I live with expectation, not to hold on to the things that was in the past, but move forward with expectation to see things greater than this year and next year. And you know, that's what my expectation. This year, I believe God will bless us a lot, you know, as far as the church, and just saying that this year we have more than 30 people on English side who are students of School of Ministry. That's already, huge result. My expectation was 20 people. If 20 people will be, so this year I think we're going to have more than 50 people who are going to be willing to commit themselves to be in the School of Ministry, and that's the future leaders who will change our world, change our city, and they will do great work for the kingdom, and that's what excites me, and I believe that's what God placed in our heart and our ministry.
Okay, last two questions. I'll ask some answers, huh? Last two questions, twofold. What brings you the greatest joy, and what makes you sad?
Well, what brings me great joy? I think the greatest joy for me when I see people coming to Christ. That's a greatest joy. There are lots of sources of joy. When you have new people, when you see fruitfulness, that's what brings joy. Unfruitfulness brings sadness for me. That's if I do work and I don't see any fruits, that brings sadness. If I see fruitfulness in the ministry, in business, anywhere I go and do, if I see fruits, I'm excited.
Let's give Pastor Alex a applause.